So, when last we left our intrepid adventurers, they were in the middle of combat. Well, at the tail end of combat, really.
It was unfortunate. It was the kind of combat I'd really like to just call it, but it was important because they just totally nuked a whole group of goblins, but the hobgoblin leader was trying to run away. Yeah. And it was a real question. Is he going to get away to tell the tale, or is he going to die? There was no chance that the party was going to lose the fight. It was just a question of, is the guy going to get away or not? And I felt like that needed a proper answer. So.
Yeah. So we were basically fighting one guy. And he wasn't surrounded right away. We started out a few squares away from him. Did he go first?
I think yes, he started
But he was like stunned or something.
He was slowed and dazed.
That was the problem. Slowed and dazed. So
No, he wasn't dazed. He wasn't dazed. He was just slowed.
Just slowed. So he got like 4 squares away from us.
Using an action point, no less.
Yeah.
To get and to get away, and he did get into the difficult terrain.
Yeah, which gives him an advantage because it doesn't affect him, whereas it affects us.
Yeah, because it's sewage.
But then it was our round, and we basically all piled in and surrounded him.
I wanted to mention something about that, as everyone was like complaining that it was lame that these sewer goblins were immune. Well, not really complaining, but they were saying, and even saying lame, but it was just, these sewer goblins are immune to the difficult terrain of the sewers, and they're like, well, what if I want to do that? I was like, sure, yeah. You spend a feat on it, and you can be immune to sewage's difficult terrain. No questions asked, no problems. Yeah. I even allow knee-deep water. You can be immune to knee-deep water as difficult terrain with a feat. That's totally fair. But anyway.
Yeah. So it was our turn, and he hadn't gotten very far away. So Croesus teleported to the other side of him, and then the rest of us all sort of ran up to bottle him in.
Yeah, Tim was kind of having glee at how he was thwarting his escape, because I got him further away, and first he had shift, and he's like, I shift to follow him, and then he got like even more in a bad spot, and I was like, I got him further away, and he's like, I teleport to the other side of him. And he was just like, well, he wasn't laughing maniacally, but I could see him doing it in his mind.
Meanwhile, Croesus, the character, is kind of flipping out about all this. He has issues, and the concept of hobgoblin are really pushing one of his buttons. So he's really freaking out about this guy. I can't remember what he was saying.
He said it more once the guy started trying to surrender again.
Yeah.
Because you guys had your turn and you surrounded him and beat him down.
Yeah.
And then he started trying to offer them the gold again.
Yeah.
The illusory gold. And
I threw my lullaby bolus. I didn't put him to sleep with them, no.
Yeah, he got dazed and knocked prone, I think. He was dazed and he just was not in good shape.
Yeah. He's knocked prone because I hit him with Jinx shot, and then he missed for something.
Oh yeah, he knocked prone. Right, that's right. So the party just piled on him, and so he got bloody, so he was now raging, and he just said something like, "I hate you, goblin!" And started this huge rage attack on Croesus, and critically missed.
Yeah.
So
and then fell down.
Yes, he fell down with a Jinx shot, so he just started pounding the ground and tantruming on the ground having this huge rage.
So at this point, Aurora is like, well, let's see if we can get him to surrender so that we don't have to kill him. And so she makes an awesome diplomacy check, and Cricket helps with the awesome diplomacy check.
And Hank made an intimidate check.
Yeah, we were like, with that awesome diplomacy check, I think he's just gonna surrender. And then Hank tries his version of diplomacy. Is that how it went?
No, you're thinking of last session.
No, someone ruined it.
It was Croesus.
Croesus ruined it this time.
He was willing to even submit to like being tied up by them because he's gonna die, right?
Yeah.
But Croesus was just freaking out. He was, what was he saying? He was saying things like, I promised I wouldn't leave them behind, and this is just wrong. And he was tearing up and crying and freaking out and completely beyond anyone being able to reach him. And so they got this hobgoblin just so he was about to surrender, and then Croesus just starts beating him down again because He's
Yeah.
just I think I don't know. Sees him as an abomination, and he's out of it at this point.
So then we realized that our biggest challenge is not talking down our enemy, but talking down Croesus. So I use a daily timeless trek of Mithrendan to put the hobgoblin away for a couple of rounds. We can hopefully talk Croesus down. So basically, it makes him disappear, save ends.
Yeah.
So he's gone for one round, maybe more.
And we're not using 6-second rounds, we're using variable rounds, so I just sort of I said, okay, I'll just start saving whenever it feels like some time has passed.
He totally saved really quickly. We talked longer than that before on rounds. It was so cheap. Anyway,
It wasn't cheap, he just saved on his first save, that's all.
yeah, but first save came so quickly. Anyway,
It was I gave you 30 seconds.
Anyway, I think we got Croesus a little bit calmed down, if I remember correctly.
Yes, Aurora had just got him calmed down. She was like,
Yeah.
we don't have to kill him, we can take him to see the elders. And Croesus was just like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden, he pops right back in front of him. And he just started hitting him again.
Goes right back to freaking out. So, yeah, that was a good use of a daily.
Yeah, and so the party at this Hank Croesus is trying to knock him out, not kill him. And the Hank and whoever. Some people decide to join in because we may as well. At least that seems to be the new thing.
If we can't capture him the conventional way, we'll knock him out and stuff to do it. Who was it that part? I think was it Cricket that took him down?
Yes, but so he was almost dead.
Yeah.
And then I have this. I can give the party a cinematic point in order to do something cinematic out of turn, which I did, and had him. He crumpled up on the floor, covered his head, and started saying, "No kill, no kill, no kill, no kill."
Yeah.
And just completely defenseless.
Made us all feel real bad about the whole situation. Guilt tripping is one of the monster's most powerful attacks against this party.
That said, it was earlier that one of the ways he tried to convince you not to kill him was he promised to not kill any more children.
Yeah.
No kill more children, no more.
Yeah. So anyway. I think it was
Cricket
Cricket.
After
That's
some
right.
intense-
He was helpless, so Cricket coup de grace him. Yes, I remember.
You killed him?
I coup de grace him non-lethally.
Oh.
I guess.
Critical unconsciousness.
Yeah. After all the effort we were going into to try and save him, John says, "Oh, he's helpless," and I'm like, "Oh, I coup de grace him."
Well, you had earlier used the Guardian's intercession, right?
No, I didn't actually. No, I did.
You tried to block Croesus's hit on him with your stuff. Oh no, there was a big debate.
I was going to use Guardian's intercession to stop Croesus from hitting
because
him.
half the party wanted Cricket to stop to do it, and half the party didn't.
Yeah.
And it was a big issue, and I was like, well, Cricket, looks like you'll have to make a moral decision for yourself.
I even resorted to asking Serendipity Van Goldstrider Malore for advice. I was like, what would you do?
Well, and her response, I don't think that's in character, but her response was, I really want to see what's inside him. So that was not the moral direction. That was like, should we beat him up or take him peacefully? I want to see what's inside him.
Because Hobgoblin have that sort of hole in their chest with the cement covering it, and she wanted to see what was under the cement. It was wonderful because Shannon knew exactly how creepy that was. And she was like, I really want to see what's inside them. It's horrible. But anyway, so I ultimately didn't use Guardian to counter her.
She was actually placated when she realized there was actually 3 dead Hobgoblin in the other room already, so that she could do her experiments on them.
She could go dissect them. But anyway, so Cricket hit him on the back of the head with the pommel of the sword type thing, the standard knock the guy out thing. So we knocked him out, and we tied him up. And so now we're schlepping 2 unconscious people through the sewers, and we're still sick. And Serendipity Van Goldstrider Malora isn't going to help us, of course.
Did she go and Did she go and do the investigation on the other?
Yeah, she went to chip.
She used prestidigitation.
It was funny though, because like right after the fight, we'd been trying to keep this hobgoblin bottled up in the corridors, so we had to have two people in order to make sure there was no space for the pass through.
Yeah.
And I can't remember why Cricket wound up shifting over to the other side, but the hole opened up, and Serendipity Van Goldstrider Malora was the only one who could fill it. So she moved up to use her mighty gnomish stature as a barricade. And then afterwards, we pointed out that as a result of that, she had stood next to one of us.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh crap, no!"
But it was pretty brief. So
yeah,
I was merciful to her.
She didn't get sick from that.
But actually, we should mention, as soon as
she does have layers of magic protection.
Yeah.
As soon as the hobgoblin was knocked unconscious, Croesus completely lost it. He started cradling the unconscious hobgoblin and crying over him, and saying, "I'm sorry, I promised I wouldn't leave them behind, and I promise I'm going to come back for you. It's all a dream." And so he just Tim is quite good. He sort of has a flair for the dramatic. So he did this long sequence, sort of followed by, Croesus completely loses it. So Croesus is just completely crying for minutes over this unconscious hobgoblin now.
Yeah.
And
meanwhile, Serendipity Van Goldstrider Malora goes over to the dead hobgoblin and starts chiseling the hole out of its chest.
Using magic hands, right?
Yeah, and prestidigitation.
Yeah.
So she's using like a mage hand and prestidigitation to, chip away at the cement. And it's sort of, I described it as cement, but it's sort of, some crappy medieval goblin equivalent. Like it's like cement, but really crappy. And she chips away at it. I don't think no one's looking at this at the time. They're all dealing with Croesus.
Yeah.
And inside there is this reddish black crystal that's all twisted with little spike tendrils coming off of it. Not like wiggling, but just, like a spiky crystal. This black spiky crystal. So she uses mage hand and puts it in a sack. And
she collects 3 of them, I think.
Yeah, she eventually collected all 3. And so she tries to figure out what it is. No clue. So she goes over to, I think it was Aurora. No, it was Cricket first.
Yeah.
Was it Cricket first?
Cricket, because Cricket's got good art.
Yeah, so she goes over to Cricket, shows her this twisted crystal that she just ripped out of the hobgoblin. Have you ever seen anything like this? And Cricket had not.
Yeah.
So Serendipity thinks about this for a few minutes, and she goes over to Aurora surreptitiously. Have you ever seen anything like this? No, Aurora has never seen anything like that.
Now go to Croesus. That couldn't possibly go awry.
She did not go to Croesus, and Hank saw it, got to the corner of his eyes, because he made his Arcana check too and failed.
Yeah.
And someone was like, why are you making that? She didn't show you. I saw it out of the corner of my eye. Yeah. So they've all seen that she's now pocketed these 3 hobgoblin crystal things,
organs.
Yeah, and except Croesus. Croesus doesn't know she has a bag of 3
hobgoblin hearts.
Yeah. So. Yep. That happened.
Alright. And then we continued on through the sewers, and it was hard going because we were schlepping Stanley and also this hobgoblin now.
Yes. Yeah, so Stanley's paralyzed, and
put 2 in there.
The hobgoblin is probably quite heavy. They're sick. It takes a while.
But eventually, we get to the exit. We had phoned ahead to General Miss Anderson.
Asked her to have a healer there. Because she's the one who sent them in there looking for Stanley.
And instead, she's there with a bunch of town guard, and they arrest us.
What?
As is typical with these sorts of quests. They always screw you over.
She looked pretty uncomfortable, and the town guard, one of them said, "You're under arrest for fraud."
Yeah.
And General Miss Anderson is like, just everyone is sort of getting their hackles up, and she said, "Just calm down, it'll be okay." And she gives a huge wink. And they make their insight check, and she's, basically telling them, just play along, it'll be okay. The main concern is that her wink is so obvious that, the other guards are going to catch on. She's terrible at... she's terrible at bluffing. So they decide to go along with her right away so she doesn't have to make any more luck checks.
Stop trying to be sneaky. We'll do it already.
It was funny because everyone was getting their hackles up, and then she did that, and they're not sure. And then I was like, yeah. And it was really obvious. They're going to figure it out right away. And everyone was like, okay, we go with them. And at first they were trying to be like, are you sure you want to take us in? We're all pretty diseased. And one of them was like, where's the intern? Jenkins, you arrest them. But they actually were quite cooperative, so they just walked with the guards in a circle around them, so they didn't even have to touch them.
Yeah.
And so they took them to the jail. Serendipity requested her own cell.
And got it.
Yeah.
Which later backfired on her because she became extremely bored. But, you know.
Stanley was put in a separate cell, and the Oblin, the hobgoblin.
Stanley was? He wasn't under us for fraud.
No, but he was with you.
Oh.
And he was put in a separate cell.
Alright.
And the hobgoblin was too. They confiscated all their stuff, but they were concerned about the box.
Oh yeah, the
So they specifically asked General Miss Anderson to take it.
Yeah.
And she agreed to, but the guards were kind of annoyed that she was taking like some evidence. But she's like, no, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And the guards were like, there's stupid jurisdiction. But accepted it.
So I'm glad to be finally rid of that box. Jeez. Anyway, so we go to jail, and we don't even really know why.
Fraud.
Well, fraud, obviously, yeah, but I mean, who did we defraud? I don't know.
Paperwork.
Well,
They're horribly sick in jail. They asked the guard. No, I think they asked the general to send them someone healed. She said, "Okay, I'll send one tonight."
I don't think we got one the first night.
No, one didn't come.
No. So, then Cricket, who's good with paperwork and stuff. That seems to be a thing with her now. She looks into the legal system of Greybridge and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think because their charges were presented to them that they were.
No, they didn't even present our charges. We didn't get our evidence.
But before the evidence, they did tell you, like the next morning or maybe that evening, they did give you papers that said you're under arrest for fraud, for falsifying, for falsely claiming and that you killed the butcher of Brackenridge.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're gonna love this. So, the legal system of Greybridge says that someone who's been arrested can demand to see the evidence for what they've been arrested for, and it has to be given to them within 48 hours of the demand being made.
Okay.
So, Cricket demanded the evidence on behalf of our owners.
Yeah.
They also can request a legal counsel if they're citizens of the Greybridge Alliance,
And Hank is a citizen.
which will be provided within 2 weeks of the trial. The papers tell them the trial 6 weeks. So in 6 weeks they'll be brought to trial.
I like it, actually.
So we'll get a lawyer in 4 weeks. And we'll get evidence within 48 hours. So the first night, we're just sort of on our own with our illnesses in this room. And I think everyone except Hank got a bit better. On the first night?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe
It was
not
a
on
very
the
poor
first night, but
circumstance.
yeah,
Because
we didn't do so well the first time. But then the next day, we again asked for healers and stuff.
yeah, he asked the guard, and Aurora charmed the guard, found out his name was Benson, the head guard of the morning shift, I guess. And we convinced him to send a healer.
And we finally got a healer. He was a nameless gnome. And that helped us out quite a bit. And everyone got better, except Hank. He was really...
when you're done there.
He kept rolling poorly. And was very slow to recover. But he eventually recovered too. But then, within the 48-hour window, they brought the evidence. So what happened was, while we were down in the sewers or something. Was that when it happened? Or was
it was like just not long ago.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part about this was Brian. Brian's reaction.
Yeah. So, yeah, while we were down in the sewer, a guy showed up in Greybridge, went, "Ha-ha, I'm the butcher of Bracken Ridge," killed a bunch of people, and then disappeared.
Well, that's not true. He was arrested.
He was arrested and then disappeared. And this is the ironclad evidence that they've used to arrest us, who have also saved the city from a giant crab, as being horrible frauds and cheats and liars, obviously. Because, they believed this guy when he said he was the butcher of Bracken. They don't believe us, but they believe this guy, whoever he was, that showed up and killed a bunch of people, while laughing and saying, "I'm the butcher of Bracken Ridge."
He did have ice armor and an ice sword.
I'm reminded of the episode of Inspector Gadget, where Dr. Claw created robot duplicates of Inspector Gadget to ruin his good name. They were these obvious,
robots.
Plate metal bent into a crude likeness of Inspector Gadget. And they would march around going ka-chunk, 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 repeating over and over, "I am Inspector Gadget. I am Inspector Gadget." That was all they did.
And they did horrible things?
And Inspector Gadget's reputation was ruined, and he had to flee the authorities to try and prove out his good name while on the run. Because that totally worked.
I knew Brian would particularly enjoy being the brunt of a miscarriage of justice.
It's just like what happened to Anthedon, except Anthedon didn't care. Because he was dead.
It actually benefited.
Yeah. So anyway.
So, there you are in prison.
Yes.
And they're believing a obvious criminal over you.
Yeah. So our plan was wait 6 weeks in prison, and then when the trial happens, we totally kick ass because we're innocent and this is ridiculous.
Thanks.
And I would have done it too. And I think most of us would have done this.
Yeah, that's the thing I found very interesting about this. When I threw the party in jail, I knew that there was a distinct possibility that they would just wait 6 weeks for the trial. Like, there's no guarantee of a jailbreak with this party. Most parties, it's like you throw them in jail, jailbreak is assumed. But with this party, waiting 6 weeks for trial seems entirely plausible.
We'll be very upset, but do it. However,
I demand restitution.
Circumstance, thy name is Croesus.
Yes, Croesus found out that the Goblen who had been arrested, the hobgoblen, had been taken to the elders. When he was taken before the elders, he freaked out, went berserk, and he had to be killed by the guards. But, which upset Croesus quite a bit. But then he found out that the Goblen had organized a day of mourning for this guy, and it was the day after tomorrow. So he invoked the Goblen parole. There's no bail here, but Goblen have a thing that Goblen's parole is unbreakable because they're
their word is unbreakable, essentially.
Yes, and so he invoked Goblen parole, which is recognized by the Greybridge Alliance because they have Goblen in their midst. And Benson, the guard, looked really guilty and upset, and he said to Croesus, I can't. I have orders not to give you your parole. And then he shut the thing and walked away.
Which is completely illegal.
And very upsetting to Croesus because, that's... Before he's like, well, we'll see what happens, but, now it's like they're breaking the law. Like, that is not right.
So... he goes over to the door. It's got one of those little sliding eye window things so you could talk to people. And is arguing with Benson about, how, no, I really want the parole.
It actually wasn't Benson because it was the next day.
Okay, it was the next day. Some other guy.
And Benson wasn't there because that was when you.
Yeah.
Because he started asking about it, and the guy's response was, "Look, I'm not doing anything. I don't want to end up like Benson."
Right. Yes. Afterwards, new guards came, and apparently something happened to Benson. So yeah. So anyway, Croesus was arguing with the new guards, and they were saying, "No, you can't go out." And Croesus is like, "No, you don't understand. I'm going out." And then, poof, he teleports through the door. Because the slidey hatch thing was open, he had line of effect. And then he runs off.
Hot tech.
And he actually gets away. And we're all a little bit nonplussed. Unsettled.
And most of the guards had run out after him and are searching for him in the crowd. But he just boots it across the city.
So we decide, okay, we'll escape because the initiative has been taken here.
And the guards
they're in disarray. And obviously something is up. And if we just wait around, we might not even get our day in court. It's hard to say what's going on.
Well, and I'm not even sure if you guys were for sure committed to escaping, but like Aurora wanted to check on how your stuff because it was stored.
It's the escape attempt snowballed, basically.
Yeah, because
first Croesus ran, then we thought maybe we'd just go outside for a little walk around or something. And
well, they called the guard over, and maybe that was when he said, "I don't want to end up like Benson." But Hank got mad and he stuck his hand through the slot. And he's like, "What happened to Benson?" And the guy's like, and he starts slamming his head against the door.
He managed to grab the guard's collar and was just bam, bam, bam.
And that was when it more or less snowballed into an escape attempt.
That's when things escalated somewhat. Because the guards started hammering on Hank's hand. And eventually they bloodied him, so he shifted and started regenerating. He was still battling this guy.
Yeah, I basically said, okay, the guards are just going to start hitting you with their batons until you either fall unconscious and stop doing that. And he did something so that that was just when he had the guard. When he started banging their head, the guards drew their swords and started trying to force the door open.
Yeah.
They had already picked the lock at this point.
Oh yes, that's right.
But they didn't actually go out of the door.
We didn't want them to realize the door was unlocked, so we'd been hoping they wouldn't try opening it. But
right, because first you tried to pick the lock, but you flubbed your stealth check, so it creaked, but not by a huge amount.
Yeah.
So it just barely failed the stealth check. So I was like, the guards were like, "Hey, do you hear something? Here's some creaking. Let's go check it out. It sounds like a door." And they start walking down the hallway, and then they tried to pretend the door wasn't unlocked, and it just all it all went from there.
yeah. So
Cricket slipped. No, it was Aurora.
no, it was me. When the door got opened and a fight started up. I did a stealth check to slip out through the door in the midst of in all this stuff. You know, no one pays attention to the domestic. So I got out, and I went to the this.
Yeah.
So I went to where our stuff was.
Yeah.
Yes, and I tried getting everything. I was gathering up all the junk there.
Yeah, there was a bunch of other people's packs and stuff in there, but I think you only carried the party stuff just so much.
Yeah, I only took the party stuff. All right. And then by the time I got back, the party had finished beating up the guards because they weren't really high level, and there weren't a whole lot of them.
More were coming, but they defeated the few guards that were around.
At which point, Robin got really excited about an idea she had and wanted to spend a cinematic point. We stripped the guards of their uniforms and disguised ourselves as guards.
They spent a cinematic point. That's just the kind of thing I love, and also it just perfectly fit with Brian's campaign of it's like that will never work in my campaign.
Yeah.
Or at least not in this situation. And they're like, that's totally gonna work. These guys are low level. This is the perfect escape tactic.
Yeah.
So it worked.
It was really funny. Earlier on,
Goblen, they don't read the evil villain's handbook because they're not evil villains.
Actually, none of the guards were Oblin. They were mostly Mongrel and Shifter.
It was really
Well,
funny.
Mongols
Also,
don't read the Evil Villains Handbook because they can't read.
earlier on, they gave us all prison uniforms. And except Serendipity Van Goldstrider Malore. Because the
Cultural respect.
Yeah, of course. You have to respect our culture. We could get you in for trumped up charges and all that kind of stuff, but
But we'll respect your culture.
yeah. And so Cricket was sort of complaining, like, they're making me wear pants. The prison uniform has pants. And so afterwards, he was like, yes, we're escaping. We've got our clothes back. I can get these pants off. Oh, we're disguised as guards now. Okay. Guards wear pants.
So a group of more guards comes to reinforce the guards they've beaten up. And they're like, where are the prisoners? And they said, they went that way, pointing to the exit. And he's like, well, don't just stand there. Come with us. Come with us. So they all rush out the exit towards the exit of the prison. And they get down to the crowd, and they're like, whoever that guy who was in charge says, they're in the crowd. All right, everyone spread out into the crowd. And so they spread out into the crowd.
This is what a cinematic point buys you.
Right.
Idiotic guards.
So sick. I feel like I'm gonna die or something. I always thought it would be in battle, but I'm just gonna go lay down.
Oh, he's sleeping. Oh, I hope he feels better soon. Oh, I should write in my diary while I have a chance. Dear Diary, it's so nice to have a chance for a break. This has just been wonderful. Since we met up with Serendipity Van Goldstrider Malore, it's just been go, go, go. And now it's so nice to just rest for a while. I'm really glad, especially it's giving us all a chance to get better. Well, except for Hank, he's not getting better. Yes, this is excellent. Just what I needed. I just wish I had that tome so I could spend some time looking in it, but oh well. It's more of an opportunity to talk to people and get to know them. And there's this guard. His name is Benson. He's really nice. But I don't know, I'm worried that maybe something might happen to him. Or something happened to him from what the other guard said. This reminds me of the time that I was locked in the old woodshed, I think. Was it a woodshed? Yeah. I accidentally got locked in the woodshed when I was working, it must have been on a farm or something. Yeah, and I couldn't get out, and I was calling and crying, and then I realized, wait a minute, the woodshed is a wonderful place, and there was adorable little spiders, and they were making these beautiful webs, and then I found up in this corner this bat, and it was just hanging there sleeping, and it was so precious, and it became like one of the best days I'd ever had. And I think this time in prison is going to be like that, just like the time in the woodshed. Oh, Hank's making funny smells. I'm gonna shut my diary now and go sit by Croesus.
Well, feeling a little better today, actually. The healer did something weird and it didn't work, but I think Cricket's been tending to me in my sleep, and it's nice. I still feel not great, but it's an improvement, so... I'm glad we have Cricket around, though. She's very helpful. It'd be nice to find a way out of this predicament. I don't know why we're even in here. Well, we're being framed, and I don't know. Maybe we're being framed. Maybe these guys are just idiots. It's so stupid. I'm gonna go back to bed.
Got any fours? Go fish. Got any sevens? Oh.
not even in the same snow as you.
You can do it with your imagination. Picture it.
Hey. Wait a minute. I feel better. Awesome. I feel well rested. I feel my nose isn't oozing, my face isn't leaking. I'm still kind of gooey and crusted up, but that's just because they haven't been giving us good washing here. But, yeah. But we're still in jail, which is stupid. Need some exercise. I might as well do some push-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Dreams and dreams and dreams and dreams always flowing around me, always changing. I'm running through these crowds, but what am I running from? I keep on remembering things all wrong, and he was an oblin, but he wasn't an oblin, and it was wrong, but it wasn't him. It was Chris. We were running from Chris, 'cause she wasn't herself, and I'm so tired of it feels like I've been running away forever through dreams and dreams, but they stopped me. I keep on doing the same things over and over again, and it doesn't work. It just keeps getting worse, and they stopped me, and now I remember. Poor thing, he wasn't himself. It wasn't fair. But I remember my sister. I remember we were going down into the world's wound. We'd gone so far, we'd fought our way down, and we'd gone further than anyone had before. We were on ropes going down, and I remember Chris and I, my sister, my twin sister, were leading the way, and all of a sudden she's just ahead of me, and she yells out a warning, and I can see the walls coming alive. They writhing and growing mouths and fangs, and I yelled up at the people above us to watch out, but it's too late for Chris and I. This great big pincer shears our rope like it was nothing, and we're falling together, falling down, and it's always a dream, but I remember it now properly. We were falling together, because it's always been us, always Chris and Croesus. She's the shield, I'm the spear, and we're falling, and I'm holding on to her so tight, and I keep on trying to twist as we fall, because I know what's gonna happen. And I keep on trying to hold on to her as tight as I can, so that I can twist and push her at the wall so she'll have a chance. But she pushes me instead. And I hit the wall, and it's chaotic. It's half trying to grab me and half trying to slow me down, and it's tearing at me. But I grab onto it and slow my fall, and I watch her fall away like a stone. And I slide down, and I hit the bottom. She'd landed wrong. The rest of us, they had the warning, so Lita cast a spell and they all fell gentle like leaves, but my Chris, she landed wrong. And we didn't know. None of us knew. We put her in the ground, but the ground down there, it eats people.
So you'd think that the guards around here would be more aware and sensitive of Oblin law, considering this is the Grey Bridge. Oblin are prominent here. Their law is important, and yet they're denying Croesus his parole to go to this memorial, which is obviously important to him. It's very, very important. So of course Croesus went anyway. I totally support him. It's something's wrong here if they're denying him what should be right. Something's wrong here.
And so we see how the facade of civilization out here amongst these barbarians finally comes crumbling down. They have all these laws and regulations and paperwork, and it was going wonderfully. We filled out the forms to get into the city. We filled out the forms to get out of the city. There's a guard. There's rules. And now we've been framed. And they're using the system against us to get whatever they want. None of this would be happening in the Empire. There they respect the laws. Because it means something there. It's a structure. It's thousands of years of history. Sure, there's a lot of competing forces and stuff, but after thousands of years, it all balances out. It has to. It works. And here we are, framed. Well, we're busting out, I guess. It's all very confused and happened kind of spontaneously, but if Croesus wants to bust out, then certainly the rest of us have to bust out. So we're busting out. And hopefully that's going to work.
Well, I was reluctant to want to make things worse around here, but we gotta get out of here. Let's go.